Hello and welcome to the Datalift Summit prequel. So the Datalift Summit is something that's happening in Berlin from the 22nd to 24th of June. It'll be held at the Factory Berlin in Wörlitzer Park. So this is Berlin-Kreuzberg. And we have just a few weeks to go. My name is Chris Armbruster. I'm the Director Data Career at the AI Guild. And I have two more Datalift Summit speakers with me today. So the first here is Jean Machado, and the second one is Theodore Meynard. Hello and welcome.
Hi.
Oh, great.
So as usual, Jean, I would like to start with you. And as usual, I actually would like you to give the audience a flavor of your data career. So I would like to know, when did you start? How did you get into this?
Sure. First of all, thanks for the invitation. It's great to be here speaking for the Datalift conference. How did I get into this field? So I came from a engineering background with some focus on electronics and systems development. I have right now more than 10 years in the industry. And I had a time where I built a startup which didn't work so well in the end. And I really got into this field when the term MLOps appeared, and I jumped into it and find it fascinating. I like to think about things systematically. And I've been so far learning so much and enjoying it a lot. I'm also an active member of the MLOps community and helping to organize the meetup in Berlin that will come soon.
Excellent. So you just said MLOps. You also mentioned that before you were startupping. What other qualifications, what's your background that made you focus on?
So most of my career I've been on backend engineering work with a fascination for AI and the things that entails with it. So, and then the big data wave happened, and it got increasingly fascinating. But I think, my engineering background informs a lot of the way I think about AI and data in general. And that's where I'm coming from in general.
Okay, thank you for that. Theo, you're a senior data scientist. So you've been doing it for a while, otherwise you wouldn't be a senior, but data science. So what's your background? Where does this come from?
So where did this come from? So hi, I'm Theo. Actually, I studied aeronautics and aerospace, but during a gap year, actually, I follow a recommendation of a friend and tell me, oh, there is this courses on a Coursera about machine learning from Angie. You should check it out. And I just did it, and that's basically where I fell into the field. So I actually finished my degree, but then actually moved to data science and machine learning, and never looked back into it. And while I was still studying, was also learning on the side about how to use machine learning and data science, and then start working in the field. But I think that's where I learned the most, actually, just being there and doing what I could. So I've been in Berlin for like the last 5 years and switched between data science and machine learning engineer, actually.
Okay, thank you for that. So you mentioned three things, if I got it right.
Yeah.
One is, so to speak, the aeronautics and the aero engineering. The other is actually learning through online courses. And then you also said, well, the most interesting part might have just been doing it. So, what did the aeronautics, the aero engineering actually give you, and what difference did the online courses make for you? Do you remember?
So actually, very interesting question. So actually, what I did in aerospace, I focused more on fluid dynamics and computational fluid dynamics, where also you have to deal with quite a lot of data and trying to make sense of the result of it. And so that was already during this direction of data science, but I also had to form myself. But to be honest, what I think was where I learned the most was by working in the field. So I think that's the most important thing. But I think this engineering background that I have also helped me a lot to be a more proficient data scientist or engineer in general.
Okay. You mentioned again, so to speak, being in the field. I checked your LinkedIn. If I'm not mistaken, you've been in the field now like for 4 or 5 years. And you're senior now. So what's the difference between somebody who's in their first 2 years and a senior? When you look, looking back, how do you see that?
Yeah, actually, I think like so on the first years, I think the most important is together experiencing like how really products are built in real world, and that's where I think you can really gain some experience. But then the senior will be more and more going the direction of leading the project, setting already the step, organizing for more junior people how we should do it, and from based on previous experience, previous project, what are the best step we should use. And I think there are a lot of things that you can gain only by experience, and that's why I think this senior role is here to basically help everyone move to the right direction in the best way. So
okay,
senior,
thank you. So yes, so it's about having an overview, provide direction, and also help other people accomplish their tasks. So
exactly.
back to you. So I also checked your LinkedIn, obviously. It says platform lead. So what does it actually mean to be a lead?
Great question. So we've started a ML platform team like 6 months ago, where we are kind of dedicating some personnel to think about these topics from the ground up, and like building a vision, a roadmap, and everything. So that's how I got into this role. I think out of the platform we've been building more than 1 year before we started this team. So Theo and I have been developing it with many other stakeholders, but like Theo has been there since the design inception, like actually the real kind of promoter, as well as you need kind of coming from a more engineering background. So like you also need Theo coming from data science background. He can also add much more like nuance and make sure that it's really used by his being there. So I think I'm here more for as a platform lead. In the platform team, my job is mostly about like making sure that in the teams that use the platform, we are basically spreading the knowledge and the best practices and the learnings. So there are great things that some specific projects have that can be shared across many other projects. And so what are the good practices and the things that we should make sure that everybody has? So my job is much about like figuring out how to make or to making more collaboration and making sure that everybody's working towards the same direction.
Okay, thank you. So one of the things that's really cool about this is that GetYourGuide now has a platform, and that you've been developing this. And I've noticed that in Berlin and in Europe, there are now a few, still not a lot, but there are a few companies that are moving in this direction. You're one of them. And perhaps to give our audience an impression, a follow-up question I would have is, so if you think about the platform, so there's like a core team of developers, or maybe like heavy users, but maybe there's also other users. So I don't know, Jean, if you calculate in your head, how big is the core team, and how many users overall do you have in your company?
Yeah, so our organization that does data products is around right now 20 people, and I would say we have like maybe like 30% of those which are very like not only users but also pushing the status quo and making improvements, and then there's also a large majority that will be kind of not pushing here, but rather following, and sometimes bringing up new context that needs to accommodate it to the platform. So yeah, I think that will be always the case to some extent. We always have people joining, and they have to catch up with the learnings and the things that the platform provides. So it's a constant kind of process that we have to keep doing so the platform keeps healthy.
Okay. Theo, you're the data scientist. Data science is often associated with modeling, providing the models then go into production. So you have about 20 people altogether working on the platform. do you have an idea about how many models have? How many models do you have in production, and how many are perhaps also at a proof of concept stage?
Yes. So actually, we have at GetYourGuide, we are kind of a marketplace. So, and actually, there are a lot of different problematics that can be solved using machine learning. Also, we are mainly building data products, and in there we have around more than 20 products that can range from the big one, like the heavy one, like for example, how we rank the activities on the website, or also our recommendation system. Also in the growth side, we have other big ones, but we have also some small ones, or like, for example, we have some small things that are actually put as like LDA vectors that are then used by other models as an embedding. So in total, we have around 20 projects that are using it. And from there, we have around 10 that have been already migrated to the platform.
Okay, so yeah, 10 are in production, so to speak, on the platform, and there's like another 10 might make it there. So that's a considerable size. Interesting. Also, while stalking you on LinkedIn, perhaps back to you, Jean, because I think I saw on your profile it said hiring. So I mean, this is. So we have an audience, and other people might be looking at this, and this is also interesting. So I do work around data careers. I also work with people looking for a first role, a second role, or wanting to become a senior, or just generally shape their career. And one piece of advice I typically have is, go and find a company that's a team that has stuff in production, because one, it's more exciting. Two, it's great for your learning curve. And then there are other things that follow it. So, you're doing this cool. You're hired. So, people that would be interested, what could they expect?
Yeah, good question. This is a new team, so many things are still to kind of be figured out. But for sure, we have lots of challenge around automation of the machine learning process. Like we see that this is a highly we can see many patterns in the whole process of data products creation. So for the ML platform team, a position like that would mean really figuring out which are the bottlenecks in the moment on the process of the creation of machine learning, or which are the points where there are most failures, and figuring out in which ways we can reduce this problem. And so building automation systems or gluing systems together. So many things, as we say in the presentation, is not about building things, but rather just integrating tools that already exist. The space is flourishing. So there will be a lot of tools exploration, a lot of requirements discovery, and working directly with the client teams to figure out what are the needs of the moment and what are the needs of the future. So yeah, highly collaborative, I have to say.
Okay. Theo, going back to you as somebody working on the team among the 20, what can you add? What's your experience been like?
To what exactly? On the platform, to work on with the platform?
Yes. What's your exactly? What does it mean to work on the platform?
So here I'm a little bit biased because I'm also a contributor to the platform in some sense.
Sure.
But basically, the thing that that I'm doing is like already do once in the platform, so that we don't have to redo it for each project, or so that other one can directly reuse what we build once, and also trying to also push for the next thing that's need to be done, and like already start to experiment in one of the projects. If there is really something that is useful, then that can be later incorporated into the platform. So like, for example, right now we are in a discussion about how we want to do a data test, and how we can improve that to help the speed of iteration on the project. That's one of the things that we push in one project, like trying to go at the frontier, what's there, and then that will be then incorporated to the platform. That makes sense?
Yes, makes sense. And sorry, I have yet another follow-up question.
Yes.
Because this is very interesting. So, I mean, I get a sense that you associate platform, one, with collaboration, but also with work being more cumulative. Yeah, and you both mentioned things around the platform is kind of like done properly and we don't have to do it again, and perhaps you're not so much stuck in project mode, not quite sure. So my follow-up question, actually, Theo, and then Jean, I'm going to ask you too. So you've worked on developing it, so you also know kind of like a before and after. So from where you are now, if you look back, what's the big difference now that you have a platform?
Should I start?
Yes, please.
I think that, I mean, first we have kind of framework. We say when we think of all the different steps, like how we should do the training, how we should do if you want to deploy in batch, how we should do if you want to deploy for real-time inference. So like we already have the steps and we already have the selected like technology we want to use and that we will support. But I think that's already kind of cleared the way for data scientists. The second thing I think is that then the platform really helped into doing all this engineering heavy lifting of like setting up all these infrastructure things, like having something that's make it work. Like before, basically it was look at other project and hopefully copy paste some file that you need to put in there and create some Docker ECR like a registry where it's needed and all this kind of infrastructure work. Whereas now we basically put a command in our repository, like to create the repository, and everything gets there. You already have a working project, and then you can start directly doing what is most important, which is building your data products, not doing all the things that need to be done to make it run.
Okay, thank you. Before I pass over, there's a question that's coming in. I don't. Either of you can answer, perhaps. What breakdown of your team compromise? So this is the question of, how many on a platform, how many versus scientists versus analysts versus product people do you need? Are you able to say something about that?
Yeah, I can take the perspective of the platform, and you can maybe complement with the teams. So basically, platform is very early days for the team, and we see a composition of mostly engineers, but at the same time with doing cross collaboration with the teams, and like we really need the client in the end of the day to be very close to us. So maybe we're gonna need some data scientists in the team eventually, but we for sure need their feedback all the time. So as I mean, at the moment the team is pretty small and mostly engineering, but the future we're gonna see how it develops. I know that some teams, ML platform teams, can get very big in the end, but for this year we are expecting to remain mostly on engineering and see how it goes then from them.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, no, I will complete on the data products. So we are mainly data scientists, like 2 to 1 backend engineer, more or less. And then we also have 1 analyst. Then we have engineering manager or data science manager, if we prefer, and also product. So we have like the 2 teams. So we have 2 engineering manager, 1 PM in 1 team, and the other one. And then we have the backend, one backend for 2 data scientists, more or less.
Okay, thank you for that.
That answered the question. Yeah. And are we happy with the split? Yes, I think sounds right.
Okay. Jean, back to you to the earlier question. I mean, you're the platform lead. So now they're there, and if you go also look at the before, what to your mind is the biggest difference?
Yeah, great question. I think it's has been since the beginning how to empower the data scientists to be productive from end to end. So like the more people you need to kind of get a data product online, the more likely that product will not succeed. So how can we empower and put the best practices tuned in by default in our systems? So I think right now it's so much faster to start a project with very good defaults, totally automated in CI/CD aspects. So get into production and remaining there with quality, it's now basically something that is already there by default. While in the past, every project that was evolving would have like the same kind of questions being answered in different ways, figured out every time by different people, and there wouldn't be everybody would be just like making very slow progress in the topic that actually concerns us all: how to make machine learning products be delivered with quality, fast to production. So I think, and maybe as I mentioned it again, but I think the mindset of like, okay, now we have a system that is improving the quality for everybody. Everybody gets more likely to kind of wanted to jump in and make improvement there. So like it's like the collaboration increases in the end of the day. Like everybody is interested in making something that works for the organization.
Okay, thank you. So we're speaking today also because the Datalift Summit is coming up in June, and actually the both of you together will be presenting the machine learning platform at GetYourGuide, so to speak, as a use case, as an example of how machine learning works and how it can be scaled. So perhaps, Theo, going back to you, come and join your talk. What could I expect? What will you talk about?
Yeah, good question. So basically in our talk, we will basically explain how basically we built this ML platform, what was the problem that we encountered, like how we tackled them, what is the overall architecture that we ended up, and also, what was the learning on the way. And I think it's pretty interesting if you are not Google and you cannot just throw 100 engineers into there, but you are like, well, it would make sense for some people to build something, but actually the question is, what can I reuse? What should I import to the team? And like, we can give an example how we did that. So pretty interesting topic if you are.
Okay, thank you. Jean, over to you, so to speak, for some final observations on this presentation in June. What to expect from your perspective?
Yeah, I think happily our platform is now being used and is like healthy, and so I think our use case of like which kind of trade-offs one has to make to kind of lay down the foundation of a platform is from experience in a mid-sized company like us is pretty valuable, and we should get deeper into this. And like the space is so new, things are not consolidated, so how to approach it, how to navigate this space and make sure that in the end of the day you are making you're improving the process of a company and making better machine learning in the end of the day. So I think the navigation of this space is very complex at the moment, and we want to make a small contribution here on how one can do that. Also leveraging open source, which is such a great way to approach it. Make sure that you're also giving back to the community and so on. So to the point that our platform is from the principles already taking into account open source as a way to get there. So I think there's a lot to be said in these aspects still in the community.
Okay, thank you. Great. That sounds to me like if somebody was joining for the Datalift Summit, they first of all could get to know the two of you. Then, as a reminder, GetYourGuide is hiring. Then you would actually take them on the journey of how the platform was built, show them how it's done, show what the benefits are today, what the meaning is company, and by implication for other companies if they chose also to build a platform, including a before and after, and including, so to speak, also open source contributions that result from the platform. Anything to add?
Sounds
Did I su-
great. Sum up.
Did I sum it
Thank
up
you.
well enough? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Then from my side, actually for today, thank you very much. I really look forward to hearing you live soon. So thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. It was a pleasure.
Have a great day and